So today we will talk about the classification of carbohydrates. So first of all, before moving ahead, you must know that the reserved energy source in our body is lipid. The instant energy source in our body is carbohydrate, and we will be talking about carbohydrates in this video, the whole classification. And the energy source is protein. Energy source molecule, here we will talk about the molecule, the nucleotide, which is ATP, and store a large amount of energy is covalent bond. So the reserved energy source is lipid, instant energy source is carbohydrate, and the energy source, rich energy source, is protein, and rich energy source molecule is ATP, and the one which stores large amount of energy is known as covalent bond. So now let's talk about carbohydrates. Let's first find the literal meaning of carbohydrates. Carbo means carbon, hydrates means H2O, water means hydrated carbon. Simply, this is known as carbohydrate. So the general formula of writing the general formula of carbohydrate is CnH2nOn. This is the general formula of carbohydrate. The first thing to remember is that the ratio of water is same. The ratio of hydrogen and oxygen is same as in water and in carbohydrates. Like it is here 2:1. So here it will be also 2:1. So the whole ratio will be 1:2:1. Where 2 is hydrogen, this is oxygen, and this is carbon. So the ratio 2:1 is same as in water. So hydrogen and oxygen are having same ratio in water and in carbohydrate. So now let's talk about Iupac meaning of word carbohydrate. According to Iupac, International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, the literal the meaning of carbohydrate is optically active polyhydroxy aldehyde or ketone. Now don't get worried, what is this? Is a long word. So now let's look at what does it actually says. What's the meaning of poly? Poly means many. Hydroxy means OH. Like there will be many OH. Aldehyde. Now what is aldehyde? And before moving to aldehyde, you must know that what are functional groups, and I have told you this what are functional groups in my previous video of diastereomers and enantiomers. You can watch that video in order to understand the functional groups. So let's give you an overview. The general formula of aldehyde is RC double bond OH. So this is the general formula of aldehyde. Now ketone, RC, this is known as ketone. So carbohydrates are the compounds which are having many hydroxyl with a functional group either aldehyde or either ketone. Like both won't be present, only obviously one will be present. So there are two rules for a carbohydrate. There will be many OH and functional group aldehyde or ketone will be present over here. So now let's give you an example. This is known as glyceraldehyde. So this is a carbohydrate. Why? One OH, two OH. So like there are many OH, right? There is the aldehyde group. So what was the second number rule? Like there will be aldehyde or ketone. So this is now carbohydrate. Now let's give you another example. So this is another compound which is known as dihydroxyacetone. So the name of the compound is dihydroxy. Why di is that? OH. What was the first rule? That there will be many OH. Right? This is the first rule. Like there will be many H, and second rule is that either aldehyde will be there or ketone will be there. So as you can see over here, like many OH are there, and there is acetone. As an acid is used for it's the old nomenclature, the common one, where like for 2 carbon we use acid. That's why acid, and one means ketone. So this is a ketone group, like we are having the general formula over here. So now let's talk about the usage of carbohydrates, like where they are used. They are in our body, like we consume glucose, and glucose is a carbohydrate. In plants, like in plants there is cell wall, right? And cell wall is made up of cellulose, and cellulose is a carbohydrate. Like there are some insects whose exoskeleton is made up of carbohydrates known as chitin. So chitin, cellulose, these both are carbohydrates, and these are used in living organisms. Like if our body consumes 1 gram of carbohydrate, it will make 4 calorie energy. Like calorie is a unit of energy, right? So when we consume 1 gram of carbohydrate, so it will be converted into 4 calorie of energy. Now there are some exceptions too. It won't be possible that every carbohydrate will follow this rule. CnH2nOn. Like every carbohydrate will be having this formula. For example, deoxyribose, right? This is used in our DNA. The formula is C5H10O4. Like from carbon 2 oxygen is removed, but still it is a carbohydrate. So there are some examples in which the compound doesn't follow the general formula, but still it is a carbohydrate. And there are 2 more examples which I'll be sharing in the last of my video. And there are some compounds who are, and it is not possible that every compound that follows this rule is carbohydrate. For example, formaldehyde, the formula CH2O. So this is following this formula, right? But still it is not a carbohydrate. It is having group, like it is having aldehyde group, it is also having OH, but still it is not a carbohydrate. For example, acetic acid, it is not carbohydrate, CH2O4. So this is the formula, and it is following the general formula rule, right? But still it is not a carbohydrate. Lactic acid, C3H6O3, this is also not carbohydrate, but still, like the form, you can match the formula. CnH2n, like here carbon 1, 2 multiplied 1 is 2, O is N. So you can see over here, but these three are following the rule of general formula, but still they are not carbohydrate. And here this, like these are following the general formula rule and still they are not, but still you can see this compound, this is not following the general formula rule, but still it is a carbohydrate. So it is not necessary, like there are some exceptions, like we are having exception, we will write almost for that, like there are exceptions that it is not necessary the compounds which are having general formula of carbohydrates will be carbohydrates, and the compounds which are not having the which are not following the rule of general formula will be not carbohydrates. They can be carbohydrates, they can't be too. So right, so you can see over here too.